Frankly Franklin. I'm going to be interviewing a gentleman who has been a public official for 24 years now, serving as North District Magistrate all during that time. My guest is Glen Evans, and he's known to those of us around the courthouse as Tuck Evans. One of the things I'm going to ask him today is where he got that name. But we're going to talk a little bit about his 24 years as a public official, let him reminisce about that a little bit, and see what his advice is to the people who succeed him as we start another century here in Simpson County. So, might as well get that out of the way first. Why is your nickname Tuck?
Well, I've had that name, Dan, since I was a real small child. My father bought a sheep from an old man by the name of Tuck, Babe Tuck. That fascinated my brother, that name did, so he started calling me Tuck. So that's been called Tuck ever since.
It stuck with you all that time. Well, when I had Judge Harper on, I had to ask him why he was called Chico. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in the fairness doctrine, I got to find out why your nickname was your nickname. 24 years. 24 That's years. A while.
Well, pretty good while. Yeah.
Do you know if anybody else has ever been a magistrate for that many years?
Not in Simpson County, I don't think.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't believe. Right? I'm pretty sure there haven't.
Well, what's your secret? How'd you manage? That's is that 6 elections? 6
elections. Actually, 9 elections, counting 3 times I had to run in the primary and the general election both.
Right,
but
right.
6 terms.
Did you have opposition every time you ran?
Opposition every time.
We got a lot of people out campaigning. Now, I know you're retiring. You're not running again.
That's
but
right.
If you won 9 elections and 6 terms, what advice do you have for these people to campaign? Is it knocking on doors that does it, or telephoning, or what works?
A little of all. I think you got to let people know you're interested, and they're not going to think you're interested unless you go to see them. They'll tell you that. I've had a lot of people tell me, "Said I'm going to vote for you, but if you hadn't come to see me, I wouldn't." And I don't blame them. It's hard to see everybody, but if you're interested enough to try to do your job, you'll go see those people. And I think that's one of the keys to it right there.
Now, you're in the North District,
District.
So which precincts is that? What's kind of the boundaries of the district?
The North Precinct is comprised of 3 precincts in town: Ad's Shop, West Door, and I take that back. Ad's Shop, West Door in town, and the North Precinct in the county, which is the biggest precinct in the county.
Okay. And so basically, where does can you kind of give me streets that sort of tell me where?
I can tell you. I can start right here, and Ad's Shop would be from right out here on this corner of Main and West and Cedar, and goes down to the Morgantown Road and out the Morgantown Road and everything on the on the east side of Morgantown Road, and out to the city limits, and then
Aiken Avenue and all around in there, and North Street and some of those. Now, some of that goes over into the east. Where's the Roby? Well, no, I mean, between you and the East District, some of that by Potters is in the East District, isn't it?
By Potters?
Yeah.
That's the Roby District. Precinct is in the East District.
Right, so you're back more to the north,
is across the creek except the Roby Precinct.
Right.
And then, of course, Westview Heights is in West Door, and it goes out Cedar Street to the city limits, which is Allen Road.
Right.
Even takes in Granger Village, and then it goes, meanders around and comes back out at the city limits on Morgantown Road.
Right. And then out in the county from Morgantown Road kind of over to Drake's Creek,
that's about right. You go out to Morgantown Road to the Vance's Mill Road, and you go back down to the Chesterman Road and across to Highway 621 up to where Charles Wilson lives, and that's the I think that's the name of that road, Robertson Road. Road. Goes out the Robertson Road to the Warren County line, and across the Warren County line to the creek, and everything on this side of the creek.
So it covers a lot of territory.
Well, it has a lot of of people in that district because of the all these subdivisions. There's about
Yeah, like Country Club Estates and Huntington
about 12
Park.
subdivisions in that district. Most of the subdivisions in the
12.
counties in the north district.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So all of those subdivisions, now does the county maintain the streets in those subdivisions?
yeah.
That's not city, that's county.
That's county. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I think most of us, when we think of county, we think of the roads, you know, where there's fields on each side, but you got several miles, I guess, that is urban.
That's true, yeah. The large portion of the people in my district lives actually in town and in the subdivision just right out of town, which includes Country Club Estates, all the subdivisions across Broadway, Huntington Park, and then on out in Sherwood Terrace.
Do you get any calls from those people, or do they
yeah.
tend to call people on the city commission since they're also in the
No,
city, or do they call both of you?
They pretty well know me because in my 24 years I've got all their streets blacktop for them, and they pretty
Tend
well
to remember that?
Yeah, they tend to remember that. Yeah.
How long does a blacktop street last before you have to go back and do it again?
Well, it varies depending on the amount of traffic, of course, and what condition it is to start with. It's got a good base, then you put down, to start with, a good rock base, been a gravel road for a long time, you know, and then you put down a bituminous base and then a surface on top of that of about inch and a half or 2 inches. It lasts a long time.
Yeah. Well, now, how do you decide who gets the blacktop? Does the squeaky wheel get the grease, or is how does that work?
Well, not exactly. We work together. I don't have, even though I have more people in my district than the others, I don't have as many miles of road. But I do have roads that has a high traffic count on them. So you've got to consider the traffic count, the number of roads. Usually, I don't try to get a fourth of the money because I don't have as many miles as they do, and my roads are all blacktop. I don't have a gravel road in my district, and so. Has
that always been true, or?
No, that's not always been true. I've had a lot of them done since I've been in there.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the roads in the subdivisions were gravel and put down inferior blacktop, and we took those over and got them up in good shape and everything. All of them's in good shape now.
Now, does the state do any of that, or is that all county money, or how's that get divided
pretty
up?
well. I'm glad you asked that because we don't. A lot of people think we use their tax money, their property tax money, to build roads. We don't. We use all that money comes from the fuel tax that the state collects. The state collects the fuel tax and divides it up 3 ways.
Like the tax, when we buy gasoline, that
That's
tax
right. All kind of fuel, diesel
comes
fuel.
back here.
That's right.
Okay.
The state collects it it's a formula fixed up by the legislature, and part of it they keep for the state roads. The counties gets part of it called county road aid money, and the cities gets part of it called municipal aid for the city streets.
I see.
And all of it, and also about all of the money from the sale of truck license plates goes into the road fund. So that's where the money comes from. We don't use a penny of property tax on the road. You asked me about the state. Sometimes they do help us. By law, the rural secondary road fund, that's the part that the state keeps, can be part of it spent on county roads if you got enough influence to get them to do it. And so they, in the last few years, they have spent part of that money on
Now, do you need influence at the district level or at the state level, or a combination?
From the county level, I'd say, for us to get, to negotiate with those people. Both levels, the state, the county, the district level in Bowling Green too. But
in your 24 years, of course, you got one district, you got 3 other guys that got districts, and then you got a judge who represents everybody.
Yeah.
You all usually pretty easy to reach an understanding on who gets what, or do you all sometimes have to kind of have a little tug of war over that money?
Not too much. When we get ready to do that, we decide on how much money we have in the budget to spend.
Right.
Then all of us goes in and turns in the roads we would like to have done.
Okay.
And then we determine how much that they're going to cost. Each road's going to cost.
You know what's going to cost per mile.
That's right, or each road actually.
Okay.
And then we just sit down And if we're over, we just say, well, this road here is not too bad, not as bad as others. We'll take it off and do it next year. We've had no problem. We got along good on that, I think.
Right. So if you take off one and you look to the other guy, maybe he'll take off one.
That's true.
Kinda,
yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now, if the property tax does not go for blacktop for paving roads, why don't you tell me what the property tax that we all pay on the tax system? Of course, I know not everything on that tax bill stays in the county. Some of it goes to the state and to the school.
But that's
right,
true.
right. But the county portion of it, which
well,
I
I'm
guess,
glad
is that the smallest chunk, the county?
Yeah, it's only about 17%, really. The schools get approximately 50%. The state about 30%. We get only about 17% of what people call their county taxes.
Okay, so what I take to the sheriff, only 17% of it goes to the county.
About 17% goes to the county.
And how much went to the school, did you say, about?
Approximately 50%.
About half of it, okay, and the rest then goes to the state government.
And then the taxing districts, like the ambulance district, gets some, and the library.
Yeah, of course, that's broken out. You can see that on the bill, and I don't know if
it's all spelled out there.
If you look close enough, yeah. All right, well, the county gets this 17%, and then of that money, you got, what, you got the jail, you got the extension, well, you tell me, what do you got to do with that money?
I'm glad you asked that. I think the most disappointment that I've had is go in the coffee shops or other places, and people will say, I pay, people in the city will say, I pay city taxes and county taxes both, and they do, and I'm not getting anything out of my county taxes. Well, that is so far wrong, it's just unbelievable. I wish we could teach them the truth about it. And I wouldn't have it, I have a vote on it, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because I live in the county, but all my family lives in the city. I wouldn't want to do anything to hurt them. And
I guess they're thinking the city's got city police and got a city fire department, and that may be why is that why they think that?
Well, I don't know. I never have really found out why they think that. But we fund, of course, the hospital belongs to the county, but right now it's self-supporting. But the health department is for everybody. We spend about if I remember correctly, 110 or 15,000 a year on the health department.
Now that used to be split, but now the county's picking up the whole tab on that. Okay.
And of course we own the building and have to maintain that.
Right.
We pay the public defender. The public defender serves everyone equally. The jail.
The state doesn't put any money into that public.
Well, yeah, that's true. He does, but the city.
The county has to.
That's right. The city taxes doesn't pay. It's all from the county, comes out of the county.
So if I live in the city and commit a crime and can't afford a lawyer, the county has to pay for my lawyer. Even
Well,
if I live
that's
in the
true.
city.
Partially in the state part of it.
Okay.
And of course,
not that I hope to have to
that's
call
true,
on that,
but also the jail. I mean, the county owns the jail, and they'll put county people or city people, either one, in there. It doesn't make any difference if you commit a crime. So
you got to feed them either way, right?
That's exactly right. And the dog warden, the dog pound, belongs to is funded by the county, and of course that serves everyone. The coroner is paid by the county. Of course he serves everyone equally. And his expenses also. There's a lot of a good bit of expenses, autopsies and things like that, and indigent people that has to be buried, you know.
Yeah, that's one you generally don't think about.
You don't think about that usually. The juvenile officer, the county pays the juvenile officer to serve everyone. The all election expenses are paid by the county, regardless of whether they're city elections or combination, or pay all election expenses and the vote.
So when the city goes and elects a mayor, the county pays for the election.
That's right, pays all election expenses.
Yeah.
Yes. And the PVE office, of course, belongs to the county. It's a state office, but by law, we're required to pay approximately 26 or 28,000 a year to that office. And of course, the county attorney, part of his salary comes from the state and part from the county.
Yeah, where he's prosecutor, I think the state pays.
That is true. That's exactly right. And we also allocate money to the Soil Conservation Service, the Extension Service, the upkeep of all county buildings. I don't know of anything really that we allocate money to that does not help city people as well as county people, and it should be that way. They pay county. Why not? I mean, that's a lot of people have that notion that it don't, but that's not true.
Yeah, well, none of us like to pay taxes,
Well,
regardless
that's
of
true.
what they go for.
Too, yeah.
And how much of that money do you all try to set aside to kind of have rainy day money, or money for emergencies, or whatever?
Well, actually, it depends on how we come out the end of the fiscal year. If we have some excess money, then it goes in reserve for. I'm, I guess, old-fashioned, but I believe in putting away a little money for a rainy day, so to speak. I don't mean to go to the extreme, but you need some money because you never can tell what's going to happen, and if you need it and don't have to borrow it, you got it. So we
Has there been an occasion where something has come up that you needed to do something, and because you had that, you didn't have to go borrow money? You could pull out of that money you'd been saving to...
Yeah, yes, we have done that. I can't recall just right offhand, but several times we've used money out of it.
That new county barn, did you borrow money for that?
That will come out of that.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
We could have actually started to borrow it at one time, but the reason they did it, at KCO you can borrow money a little cheaper than you can put your money on a CD and get a little more than you can make money on the deal, but but not much. So I'd rather just pay for it.
Who do I talk to about that?
Well, those people, they borrow money in large sums from overseas a lot of time, Australia and other places, and they get them money real cheap, but we don't do that very often. I'd rather just, as long as you got, to me, time to borrow money is when you don't have any money. If you got money, why pay for it?
Yeah. Now, in that 24 years that you've been on the court, I think that usually, I don't know how long this has been a practice, but I know now the different magistrates serve as a non-voting member on some of these various boards. What are some of the things that you've been on during your time in office?
Well, about all of them. Over the years.
You stay 24 years, you get to go around.
Yeah. Right now, I
might be on the second go-round on some of them.
That's right. Soil Conservation Service and the Tourism Board and the 911 Board and the RC&D Board, that's Resources, Conservation, and Development, which is at Health at Bowling Green. I'm also serve on a board in Frankfurt, the Unemployment Insurance Board. I guess that's all I'm on right now, but I've made the round.
Sounds like enough night meetings to keep you occupied.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
Are you glad the court meets in the daytime rather than another night meeting?
Well, yeah, really, I am. I like it that way, but I can see, advantages both ways. But.
You, in the time you've been in, do you spend much time in Frankfurt? You know very many governors during the time you've been in office?
Yeah, yes, sir. I've known Governor Patton for probably 20 years, and
is that right?
Governor Ford appointed me as magistrate. I went in a middle of a term, well, almost the first of the term, but anyway, by law, if someone resigns, the governor, or dies, the governor has to appoint somebody until the next general election.
I see.
And I was appointed by Governor Ford, Wendell Ford.
Right, before he became a senator.
Right, Yeah, I know about all of them, and I know a lot of people in Frankfurt, and a lot of people all over the state. That's, I guess, the worst thing I'll hate about leaving. I got so many friends all over the state that I'll miss seeing them. In fact, they'll let me. I may just go to some of the meetings anyway.
Well, if you're willing to pay, I'm sure they'll be glad to have you. Might give you their check, too. Well, what are you planning to do when you don't have that county obligation? I know you farm still.
Well, no, I don't farm much anymore.
No, you used to, didn't you?
Yeah, I
you
did.
Used to raise
I farmed most all my life, ever since I was a little kid. Of course, I had an interruption in World War II. Yeah. And but I farmed most of my life, and I like to fish, and I don't know what else to do. I want to learn to play golf. I haven't tried that.
Well,
but there's one thing I'd like to advise Dan, if you don't mind.
I was going to wind up with that.
Okay.
I think after 24 years,
Well,
you earned the right to give a little advice.
I'd like to see, and I think they should, all the new members of fiscal court go to every meeting they can and learn all they can. If you need to study the statute. They'll teach you a lot at these meetings. They'll have special meetings for you. And learn all that, and if you're undecided about something, go look it up in the statutes. It's not any trouble. And learn what your duties are, what their duties are, and what the duties of the other people are too, like county judge executive. You know, you need to know his duties, you need to know your own, and you can pretty well, you know, it helps you. You can come here making a decision, and know it's a legal decision when you make it.
Right. Well, it sounds like you might be a good man to call if somebody has a question.
I made it a practice of looking up those statutes, because that's what the county attorney is for, and he can do it and see it does a real good job. But a lot of times I just look them up on my own and make a copy of them. I guess I got to stack that thick, I guess, of the statutes.
You think after January, that first Tuesday in January, you'll forget you don't have to come in and wind up at the courthouse anyway? I bet you've been coming every Tuesday morning for 24 years and not going to seem the same after that.
Well, that's true, but I guess...
Anything in particular you'd like to try to get done in, you got 8 months left before your last term is over? Or?
Of course, we always have a few more roads to do, you know. I'm proud of the fact that we do have the roads in a lot better shape than they were, and all the subdivisions are in good shape, and they weren't. When I came in, a lot of the developers had put out a little inferior blacktop, and they sold the lots and left, and these people said, I pay county taxes too, fix my road, and that's true. And you could help more people in a subdivision with a half-mile of road than you can anywhere else. I always enjoy doing that. Since we have them all in good shape, because I have another one too I'd like to get done this fall before I go out, but I don't know of anything else special, Dan.
We're almost at the end of a century. We're going to start a new one. The new group, we're going to have a new judge. We don't know yet who that's going to be. Some new magistrates. So what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge they're going to face? Is it getting to be, more, as we grow more, like you got more subdivisions, you used to think of county government as just kind of roads and bridges. But I mean, now with, trash collection and whatnot, you get more urban and that sort of thing. Think that's going to continue? Are we going to see more houses built out in the country?
That's hard to tell. It depends on, you never know whether they're going to go metro, or whether it's going to stay like it is, or whether they're going to expand the city, annex property and things like that. Of course, it'll make a big difference.
Right.
But I don't know any special thing that might happen soon.
Time will tell, the crystal ball is kind of cloudy. Well, best of luck to you in your retirement. I know that's some months away, but I don't know if we'll have you back on TV before then, and I'm glad we caught you here today where you could come in and talk about it. I'm sure it's been a pretty interesting 24 years.
It sure has.
In some ways you may...
Well, I've enjoyed it.
You may be glad to be done with it, and a lot of it you'll miss too, I guess.
I got a lot of memories. I always like to help people and help the community, and I enjoyed that. And I'll sit around and see what the new people do. Hope they do well.
Well, we tape it every week, so we'll have a tape you can look at if you can't make it there on Tuesday. We've been talking on this segment with Glen Evans, the magistrate from the North District of Simpson County. For the past 24 years, he's ending his time in office, and we've enjoyed the chance to reminisce with him. Thanks again, Tom.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Enjoyed visiting with you.